Haven't you heard? A queen is on the rise. Wearing many hats so she can open up your eyes. Join the convo, the podcast is lit. Cop a pen or two to spice up your fit, yeah. She's a producer, you can vibe to her beats. She do the most, but she ain't come to do the least. Whether it's the combo or the music you want, find it all here at TiTiTalks.com. Come and stimulate your mind with TiTi Talks. Promise you'll never fall behind when TiTi Talks. The knowledge you're seeking you can find when TiTiTalks.com. So come on and get with TiTi Talks, yeah.
Peace, family. It's your girl TiTi from TiTi Talks. I'm super excited to be back behind the mic today to deliver you all some great content. Thanks again for rocking with me and being so engaged and so involved in my online community. I really, really, really appreciate y'all. I've been getting some fantastic feedback from my TiTi Talks live when I go live on Facebook and Instagram. And I think I'm going to turn it into a weekly thing now because I've been kind of popping up randomly when I can. But because I'm getting such a good response, we're going to start doing TiTi Tuesdays. You heard it here first. We finna start doing TiTi Tuesday starting this coming Tuesday, Election Day. So definitely make sure that you're on the live for that. It will be on Facebook, it will be on IG, and it will be at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure, got a little more housekeeping to do. I want to make sure that you are all subscribed to TiTi Talks podcast. It's on SoundCloud, it's on Google Play Music, and it's also on Apple iTunes. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure that you're following me on social media. On Instagram, I'm TiTi Talks. That's TiTi Talks. On Twitter, I'm Miss TiTi Talks. That's MSTiTi Talks. And you can join my fan page on Facebook. That's TiTi Talks. And make sure that you're sharing all my content with your family and friends. If you're enjoying it, please share it. That helps a sister out, man. That makes me feel good. And, lets me know that you're appreciating the content that I'm putting out. So make sure that you're sharing this, that you're talking about it. And I'm going to keep supporting y'all. Whatever you got going on, y'all already know I support it. Reach out to me. I'll support you. If you're positive and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it's on the right path, and it aligns with a positive mission, I'm all for it, baby. Reach out to me. I'll reach out to you. Super excited to let y'all catch the vibe with this next guest, Sister Tavonia Evans. This sister so bad, she went out and created a cryptocurrency to help the black community. That's how bad this sister is, man. So I want y'all to enjoy this. It's a great discussion. Peace. Peace, family. It's your girl TiTi from TiTi Talks. I'm super excited for my guest today. She's a dynamic sister in the tech world, in the business world. And for all of y'all wonderful people, if you're not familiar with crypto, a few months ago on episode 6 of TiTi Talks, I did an intro to crypto show with brother Lamar Wilson. So go check that out just in case you're listening and there are some terms and some subject matter that is a little bit out of reach of your understanding. It's all good. That's why I did the intro to crypto show, so y'all could kind of get the foundation. And now we're kind of moving on to the next level of entrepreneurship in the tech space, and in the economic space and in the business space. So y'all, I'm just welcoming Sister Tavonia Evans, who is the founder of Guap Coin. Thank you for coming on, sis.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Glad to talk to you. I've been actually wanting to talk to you for a while. So I'm glad that I was able to get you on. And I want to talk a lot about your project with Guap Coin and everything. But before we do that, I did want to get a little bit of background information about you. I'm a fan of solutionaries, and so I just go crazy when people are solution oriented, when they're problem solvers, and you're definitely embodying that. So thank you so much. But talk a little bit about your background. How long have you been in tech? What kind of projects have you worked on prior to Guap Coin? And then we can talk a little bit more about Guap Coin.
I've been in technology for almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started out in systems tech, systems engineer, Cisco routing, all that hard tech stuff. At the same time, I was doing design.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of a right brain, left brain person because I'm also an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing design, graphic design, then kind of merged them together, started doing web development, got deeper into development, got into data analysis, and just been growing with technology because that's what technologists do. We just like grow with technology. Whenever some
Absolutely.
new thing comes out, we just gotta, soak it all in.
Mm-hmm.
So I've worked with a lot of Fortune 500 companies. I did development for IMAX. I did development for Coca-Cola. I've done
Nice.
development for the government. I've done, a lot of marketing. I'm also a marketing person.
Wow.
So wherever I had to get in and fit in, I've done because I have a very large family. So it's all about in technology where the money is,
Right.
And during that time, I've had my own projects and startup things that I wanted to get off myself, but obtaining the funding had been very difficult. I am also the founder of a platform called Safe to Meet, which I hold a provisional patent for
Nice.
that technology. And it was during Safe to Meet that I got into blockchain and thought of how great it would be for us to be able to integrate, this in our community. And I felt like it was going to be important that we specifically integrated in our community. Something that specifically speaks to our needs and address some of the issues that we have in our own community, because that's not a priority amongst other people. Additionally, probably about 10 years ago, I looked into alternative currencies, and I thought back then how great it would be for us to have a community currency. But there were a lot of barriers because we didn't have the digital tools that we have now, or at least, I wasn't aware of the level of digital, currencies that we did have. But once I became more into it and aware of it, I was like, well, this is going to be an easy one.
Right.
This is like, why isn't everybody else doing this?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, great. This is can address a number of problems we have in our community. Definitely the circulation of money within our community.
For sure.
Definitely supporting, having affinity relationships with our businesses and supporting Black-owned businesses. And definitely building our own self-worth. Our own self-worth is a big objective of mine. Because I feel that, that's something that's not addressed, and of course it's not going to be addressed. And if we don't address that problem, then we'll continue spending useless dollars outside of our community and not investing in ourselves and our future and our legacies.
That's facts. That's facts. Was there any other drive besides what you mentioned in your alternative currency interests?
Well, yeah, because I'm real community oriented, you know what I mean? And I feel like there are some things that we need to establish within our community. And again, it just goes back to the self-worth issue, because we don't know our connection with money. And we don't know that we have a very deep connection with money. And most of us probably don't even know in ancient history how we've used money.
Right.
And we're thinking that, okay, it just came upon us when we came to this country with the dollar bill and everything else. And we got to get back to our connection with commerce and our connection with money, and that's a part of our own values and our value system. So, that's the main part of it. I have a very social, I guess you could say, social, spiritual reason for doing this.
Absolutely. I'm one of those people who is relatively new into the blockchain crypto space. I mean, I would still consider myself to be a newbie. When I first read about it and just really started to study and learn, it was like my mind was just like, oh my God, like the implications for this. And I'm not I'm tech savvy in a different way, you know, and
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
I don't understand the coding aspect that much. I just haven't had much exposure. But I knew that if you knew how to code and develop and you had an
Mhm.
understanding of economics and things like that, like you could really do some amazing stuff. And so
Yeah.
and so even with my limited, you know, understanding of the space, with you who has been in this space for 20 years, over 20 years in various aspects, like how do you see this technology being able to assist um, our community overall? And when I say our community, I'm meaning like from a diaspora and continental perspective.
Well, I see technology as a huge gift,
Mm-hmm.
but in some ways, I also see it as a bit of a curse.
True.
Because the angle that we approach in our community technology is that we kind of feel like we have to become a whole we have to be an expert on all of it
Mm-hmm.
in order
Mm-hmm.
to be able to make a move. And that
Yeah.
is not how children operate when they get into the tech space and they actually start making things that are
Mm-hmm.
successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the childlike mind that gets into this and says, hey, I'm going to create something with a blank slate. And they're not thinking about all of what they don't know
Mm.
and what they need to know. They're just doing it. And because I'm a creative person and I've been doing this for so long, I still approach technology from that aspect
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
I get what I need to do the job. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I try
Absolutely.
to limit that because I'm a mom,
Right.
and although I've learned a lot, I don't have any time to be sitting here learning. Spending 8 hours a day. Learning new platforms and all. I don't have no time for that.
So true.
But right, but I will get enough that to be able to do the job, and if I can't do the job, I need to know enough to be able to dictate how this job needs to be done.
Mhm.
So those are the two things. So when I meet other people in technology, people of color, and they kind of make this switch over to technology, a lot of times they get kind of stuck because they don't know what they need to learn, and they feel like they need to learn this and they need to learn that and they
Mhm.
need to do this and they need to do that, when all of that is not even necessary for what you're trying to do. I just ask them, what are you trying to accomplish? You know what I mean? And if this is what you're trying to accomplish, then these are the paths that you need to take to get to that solution. You don't need to do all of this other stuff. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Um, Now, if you're a child, then it's great that, okay, you start off with Python, you go to this, you go into Node.js, you learn this, you learn that. That's great because you got all the time in the world to learn these things. You know what I mean? But as an adult and as a working adult, you're only going to frustrate yourself trying to learn all these different platforms.
So
When it
true.
gets down to it, that's not what you need.
Mhm.
You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
I'm glad you broke that
um,
down too, because sometimes people will get into this space kind of new and be extremely overwhelmed by information.
yeah.
Extremely overwhelmed. I know I was, and that's when I kind of was like, you know what? I may not
Mhm.
have all the answers, but you know what? I got the internet. And I know people
Exactly.
who have more expertise in this area. So like when I do these shows with you, when I do these shows with Lamar, that's not just for my listeners, that's for me.
Yeah.
That's for me
Yeah.
as well, so I can carry that information over, and that way a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, I can be more involved in the space, you know? I just
Exactly.
wanted to make
Exactly.
sure that what I was learning, I could share that with people who also wanted to learn, who maybe didn't have my
Yes.
reach. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm appreciating what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my goal is to make this simplified and easy enough that I can explain this to my grandmother. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
At the end
Mhm.
of the day, if we're talking about a commerce system that everybody's going to be using, my grandmother's going to need to know this,
For sure.
and I'm going to need to be able to explain this in that simplistic of a fashion. And that's what I try to do everything, and I try to approach my life. I don't want to make my life any more complicated than it is.
Mm.
So and then when you're a solutions person, that's the method that you're approaching it from as well. You're just trying to solve a problem. You're not trying to take over the world or build the best rocket ship or fly to Mars. You're trying to solve a specific problem.
Correct. So let's fast forward a little bit to your creation, Guap Coin, and just kind of start in the beginning, even how you determined the name and when you started it, and kind of like, go through the process of you beginning, the currency and kind of your vision and how you conceptualized everything, and then were able to pull it out of yourself and kind of bring it, you know what I'm saying, into the digital world. Talk a little bit about that process.
Well, when I approached in the beginning, talking about cryptocurrency, and mind you, I'm a little hip hop girl on the inside. I'm from Brooklyn.
Hello.
Long Island.
Represent, baby. You better represent.
Exactly. I'm from the heart of the hip hop culture.
I love it.
And
I was just in New York too. Love it. I'm a Florida girl though. I'm from Florida. I'm a down south girl.
But we lived, eat, breathe, everything hip hop when I was growing up. So it's just a real integral part of me. But the other part of me is also a marketing part, because I'm like, if I'm going to do this, it has to be something that's consumable and understandable. People are going to have to understand that this is money. They're going to have to feel that it's money when they hear it. Even, not knowing what it means.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be within a earshot radius that could say, hey, that's money. That's what that means. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it has to be that. I thought that it was the perfect name for it. Because it signified money, and it had to transfer that meaning and feeling to people that this is money. So, named it Guap. We started out on the Ethereum platform. It's just a smart contract token, like a lot of other people did. Like, they were using tokens for token sales,
right?
All that other stuff, and creating tokens. And I knew that eventually we was going to have our own blockchain.
Yeah.
But I had put in my mind that it was going to be some super expensive feat that I wasn't prepared to do. But when put in a crunch,
right,
you will get down in the trenches and do it. And at first, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. It's just gonna be too much. And then ultimately, I was like, I came this far, I can't stop. And the SEC has been jumping back and forth as far as tokens on the Ethereum platform, whether they're securities, whether they're not. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to be a currency. I'm not even trying to be a security. So I'm definitely going to have to create a blockchain of its own for Guap. And I said, I'm going to, embark on this journey, and hopefully God will bring everybody I need to assist me, which is exactly what happened. I started working on it. I decided that it was going to be, I did a lot of research at first, but I decided it was going to be a fork of Dash. And the reason why I selected, all coins are forks. And the reason why I selected Dash is because Dash has already implemented itself in merchant in communities, like in particular Argentina. So I was like, if Dash can function in Argentina, then Guap should be able to function in America. You know what I mean? So I used that as the platform base, and I got together a team of additional engineers, and we worked, and they made me work. So I didn't think they were going to make me work as much as they did, but they did, because I understand, because they was like, you're going to need to know the whole ins and outs of this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I kind of felt like I was giving birth. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I disappeared in the trenches for quite a while, and worked on some things. What I didn't know, I had to brush up on really quickly, get into it. And then the last portion of it, I had to jump into economics, because then we had to talk about what were going to be the economics of this platform. Things like inflation and blah, blah, blah. I had to pull out my spreadsheet. Was in the spreadsheets for like weeks. I was like, oh my God. Before I knew it, a week had passed, and then another week. And then finally it brought me to where I am, and I was like, I understand why this was so important, because I had to get the value of it. Like, I had to feel it. You know what I mean? I can't describe it, but I really had to get the value. Like, I got it. This is why I had to do this, because I'm now confident enough to walk up in anybody's face and say, we have a blockchain. We have a coin.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I won't feel any kind of way, because you'll have people in the industry, they're trying to work on certain projects, and they don't feel like they're good enough to compete with even the most minimal that's already out there. Because some of these guys out there, all they did was, did a fork, did a little bit of this, and boom, put out a whole coin.
Yeah.
And that's most of them.
Yes.
Actually, not some.
Yes.
Most.
Huge percentage.
Yes. So what you have with us is, oh my God, we got to go actually build it from scratch. Like, a lot of us, we're not even aware of open source software. We don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? So we set out on an adventure to rebuild the wheel when the wheel is already done, and all you need to do is adjust it for your liking. And so that becomes I notice within our community is a big problem. And then another thing is, we feel like we have to prove something to everybody else. It's like, when you're in the blockchain community, the first thing they're going to ask you is, what problem are you solving? If I tell you the problem I'm solving, it's not going to mean a hell of beans to you. You're not even going to look at it like a problem. You know what I mean? So as I'm sitting in these places where I'm invited and they're asking me these questions, I'm looking at them like, okay, well, you want me to say something. I'm like, you know what I mean? You don't know what problems we got in the community, then you need to take a little, trip down to the hood.
Right.
And you can figure out at least 100 problems we might need to solve with this here thing right here. So that's the thing. It's like, no, I'm doing what Bitcoin did. I'm doing what Bitcoin Cash did. I'm not trying to create the unicorn. I'm trying to create a currency, an alternative currency that we can use in our community. That's it. Period.
Absolutely.
And
in the most efficient way. In the most efficient way that you can.
Exactly. And I could do that just like Roger Ver did Bitcoin Cash, just like this one did that. I can do this. Okay. You know what I mean?
Come on.
I guess something gave me the gall to be able to think that I could do it. And, and that's where it all lies.
Okay, so you're a black woman in the blockchain crypto space. That's like a very small, piece of the whole pie. And I think that's a very unique perspective. I would even dare to say it's the best perspective to have coming in this space for several reasons. That's a whole nother show. But, being a black, and then also being an intuitive black woman, you know what I'm saying, who is perceptive to things seen and unseen. What are some of the things in the blockchain space that you foresee as a black woman that others in the space who are not black women maybe are not able to foresee?
I think that it's not that I'm able to foresee, it's I trust what I see. You understand? So I think that's the big thing. The big thing is about how much you trust yourself. It's how much you trust yourself. I think they all see it, and they can all see things, but it's a matter of how much you trust what you see. And I trust what I see.
For sure.
I trust. So I think that's the difference.
For sure. I like that. And is it? Do you mean that other people maybe do not trust, or are you just speaking only for you?
Well, I see how interconnected things are, and when you see how interconnected things are, then that gives you more of a degree of trust. You understand? Because you kind of know that things are, this is a part of a plan that's bigger than me.
Absolutely. And you just, you know your space in it, and you just maximize it, to its fullest potential, so in the best way that you can.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
and that's one
Exactly.
of the reasons why I think that trust that you're talking about, I think that's the reason why when you took that step to go through with it, I think that's why all of the resource that you needed that you were talking about a little bit earlier,
Just showed up.
I think
Yeah.
that's why they just showed up, because the
Hmm.
the energy, spirit, creator, whatever anybody wants to call it, they can see your heart. It can understand
Hmm.
your intent and your in
Hmm.
the vision. And
Hmm.
so, when you come in on that
Hmm.
on that wavelength,
Hmm.
things are just gonna roll off for you. It ain't gonna be easy, but it's gonna be doable.
The the beautiful thing I think is that I'm in a space that everybody, we're all like outside of the box. We're all different. I think if I had been in a traditional business, I would have had the fear that people think I'm crazy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes.
But with my 20 years in technology, I've never met a person that's not as crazy as I am in technology. So I've always felt like I fit in technology just because of that. And because it's such a unique space, and it's kind of it encourages your uniqueness. That's one fear. Being in it this long, that's one fear that I haven't had to get to me. And I think that that's a large fear amongst everybody, and in particular Black women. I mean, we deal with all kinds of things: how we should wear our hair, what do we wear to a meeting, what do we wear to work, are they, is this going to be acceptable, and we don't deal with a lot of that in technology. In the beginning of this, I almost went backwards, and I let people, when they were like, oh, you're going to be in Glamour magazine, you're going to do this, you got to do this, you got to wear your hair like this, you got to, I almost went backwards.
Mm.
And that's when I realized that my power is in who I am. You know what
Ashe.
I mean?
Yes.
Not with who they're trying to make me out to be. Because if
Absolutely.
I go the way they're trying to make me out to be, then I'm not going to be who I am.
For sure.
And then I can miss the boat because I'm not being who I am. So, so that was a big hump to overcome again, which is something I never really had to overcome. And I tell people all the time, I've been in corporate world for like almost 20 years. I've never conformed in the corporate world.
Ashe.
So I don't think you're going to expect me to start conforming now. You know what I mean? I mean, I built up my reputation. I built up my skills to a level that people wanted me bad enough that they was gonna have to take me how they
However
took me.
you came.
Yeah,
However you
exactly.
came.
And that's a good feeling. And that's
Absolutely.
so knowing that that's how I operated. I wasn't trying to conform
Mm-hmm.
then. You know what I mean?
Coming in on your
So
own terms.
yeah,
Coming in on
exactly.
your
I
own
mean,
terms
when
in your own way.
then
And that's an
do you know
element of the
some of the
trust that you're talking about as well.
yeah?
When
I'm
people
like, do
accept
you
you
know
for
some of
you.
do you know some of the things they're willing to do for you when they really want to bring you on board? You
What?
know what I mean? Like, have you been hunted like that before in corporate world? So it's wonderful. I feel like the whole technology world, the whole aspect has been such a huge blessing, like to free us from a lot of the constraints. But we still have more constraints mentally to free ourselves from.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, this is a step in the beginning in freeing us of mental constraints. Because when you're talking, having a blockchain conversation with other folks who are not, people of color, and they're looking at this at freeing them on a whole different level. But when I'm looking at it freeing us on a mental level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because we already are very rich. We already have a lot of resources and money and
Facts.
possessions and all of that.
Facts.
You know? So we just don't mentally know how rich we are.
Right.
So we have a whole different kind of problem. I mean, when
Mm.
when your whole outfit is worth more than somebody's salary in another country, you're not poor.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so
Right. That's
you
so
know,
true. That's so true. And so,
yeah.
how can somebody um support you in what you're trying to do? And before you go into that, I'm just gonna let y'all know Get your Guap wallet going. Okay, people, I need y'all to do that. And she's gonna give you the information on how to do that. I got my wallet, okay? Because the thing about this is we need to make it give use cases. We need to make sure that we're using it. Okay.
Absolutely.
We need to make sure that we're
Absolutely.
using it. But go ahead and let everybody know how they can support you. You can even, talk about master nodes and
Hmm.
all of that, and even give a little background on what a master node is, just in case I have some listeners who are not familiar.
Well, I guess what comes into mind is with a system like this and a blockchain like this, how do you create a system that supports the community when anybody can get a hold of it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we implemented a system that has a thing called masternodes. So what masternodes allow for you to do is we incentivize people for holding WAP, number one, in their masternodes. But masternodes give you governance rights and allow for you to vote on proposals in the direction of the blockchain, etc. So it's almost like a governance in a government. So although I like to use the word decentralized, we're not really fully decentralized because we have to maintain some level of control
Mm-hmm.
to be able to implement this in our community.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that we can control it as of now is to have these master nodes. So the master nodes, having the master nodes in our community, and anybody having them in our community, is how we can influence the direction of the blockchain and the impact that it can make. Because as a master node holder, you can vote to whether or not someone gets funding for their business, or someone submits a proposal and they want to do, X, Y, Z, and you're a part of the voting system that does that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have master nodes. And we still have a master sale that's ending at the end of this week. We have to wrap it up. We try to extend it as long as
Right.
possible to
Right.
get people in it. But it's kind of difficult because at the same time we have to educate people on it. So we haven't had a lot of people getting them. We have a few people that have them. So after we close out the sale on them this week, we're going to probably open it back up sometime in February
Okay.
to let people do them. But we have a Masternode sale going on right now. And when you get a Masternode, that also comes with the amount of guap that has to be staked in a Masternode. So it's almost like a savings account because you get it.
Gotcha.
You can't spend the guap that you have in there, but you hold it, and that's what's called staking. But you're incentivized for it, so you earn more guap just for holding your guap.
Mm.
So when you get a master node, you'll earn guap every day just for holding it. So that would be your extra guap that you can do whatever you want to do with it. But at the same time, you're staking and you're holding this guap in your master node. And then over time, master nodes, of course, become more valuable. So if you look at a platform like Dash, which started out, of course, very low when it came out, the value of a master node now, you get to literally have $150,000, to
That's so
buy a
true.
master node.
That's so true.
So it's very expensive, and at one point it went all the way up to I think almost $300,000. So they're valuable, assets over time to have. And I'm not an investor advisor. That's not what I do. I don't, want to lead people in the direction of where they should invest their money and all this
Right.
other stuff.
Right.
But if you want to support us and what we're trying to do, the master nodes support us, and also something that you can have. Because the funds that we get from the master node, then we're able to do things like get on exchanges and stuff like that. Because there is literally no exchange on earth nowadays that you can get on for free.
Right.
That's one of the most expensive things and barriers that we've had to face is, coming up with the needed, funds to be able to get on an exchange. Now we're tentatively solving that problem by creating our own exchange, which is something that we're putting together and we're looking into really jumping into for the new year is having our own exchange. An exchange that's going to make it very simple for us to get into the game, because if you get in right now and you get on the exchanges that are out there, they're very complicated. They're definitely not for the average user, and we want to simplify that process. So that I believe that's definitely something we can do, which is a lot easier than even what I've done already. So the biggest barrier when it comes to exchanges is we'll have to raise the money transfer laws and the money transfer licenses in every state that we want to operate. So there are a lot of barriers to this, and we can see why we haven't been able to do it as of yet. It's not a cheap thing, it all takes money. It's like no matter how brilliant you are, you're not going to get around having to pay for the licenses and laws and etc. to even be able to operate. So that's the barrier for us in our community. Um, so of course, supporting us, it would be getting master notes. If you want to get a hold of some guap, you can definitely inbox me, and I can connect you with the resources to be able to do that. And of course, get people to get a wallet to register and have a wallet, because the more people we have in our community to have a wallet, that's also adds value to us as well. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So if we do go to a particular exchange, then they may charge a certain amount to get on, but if we say we have a community of 100,000 people that are holding wallets, then they're willing to bargain with us.
Nice, 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 nice. And so, I know there's a site for the wallet. Can you let people know?
Well, if you go on
Right.
guapcoin.com now and you go
Okay.
up to the menu, there's a link for the wallet there. Also, we have a link for merchants. So if you're a merchant, if you're a business and you want to look into integrating Guap into your business, we definitely need merchants and businesses to do this. And as a matter of fact, we were looking into launching a Black Friday campaign for our merchants. So becoming a merchant is real simple right now. Just clicking on the merchant tab and putting in your information. So no matter what you do, if you have a service, if you have a product or whatever, just fill that out and submit your merchant information so that we can support you as well and bring you into the network. We're also partnered with National Black Business Directory, NBBD, that is doing some awesome things for Black businesses and onboarding people onto their platform to help support businesses as well, and especially tech businesses, because they're also an affiliate of TechStars, which is an accelerator. And if you need funding for your technology, then you might want to look into getting into going through NBBD and getting through the TechStars accelerator. That'll assist you. So, there's a lot of things opening up for us slowly but surely. And we try to do what we can to funnel everybody into whatever opportunity that we can get them into, you know what I mean, and make them aware of it. It's not just about Guap and about cryptocurrency and about making money and all of that. It's about really helping our businesses and especially helping technology grow in our community.
I know that's right. I loved it. I love it. I thank you so much just for being dope and bringing all of this information and bringing all of your talents and skills to be able to uplift our community and to help us just do and be better.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping the voices going, because we need stuff like this. We need these podcasts. These are awesome. Like I feel like really blessed to be in this day and time where you have a place where you can express your message. So that's very, very important, and I thank you.
No problem. I'm glad to do it. Y'all, make sure. Do you have any social media that anybody can hop on and follow? Are there
Yes,
any other way?
absolutely. I am on Twitter, Crypto Diva, and that's DEEVA, and Guap Point as well. And I'm on Instagram as Crypto Diva as well. And Guap Point is on Instagram. We're on Facebook. On Facebook, you can find me at Tavonia Evans. You can find Guap Point there under Guap Point, and we also have a group, the official Guap Point group on Facebook. You can join the group, especially if you have questions. I try to do free webinars as often as possible, and not just on Guap, but just an introduction to cryptocurrency as well. So it's good to follow me because I'm kind of sporadic with it, but I will have a minimum of at least one or two webinars a month going in depth into cryptocurrency and blockchain technology.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you again for sharing, listeners. Go back to episode six with Lamar Wilson so you can get the intro to crypto. Then come back to this one and really listen to what the sister's doing. Google her too. Google her. She got a whole lot of stuff up, and she's talking about a whole lot of things at different conferences and different events. She's got a lot of good information, a lot of beautiful content out there, and I want y'all to definitely look her up, research. You know what they always say in the crypto space: do your own research and ask questions.
Ask questions. Yep.
Ask questions and do your own research. Sis, you have a beautiful evening. I appreciate you, and we'll have to do it again.
Yes, anytime. Hit me up.
For sure.
I show up.
I love it. I love it. Well, you have a blessed man. Ain't nothing better than having a conversation with a solutionary. Someone who has solutions for problems. Not somebody who talks about problems. Not somebody who pontificates on problems. Somebody who has solutions for problems. I respect that so much. And I'm so happy that y'all had the opportunity to get some exposure or maybe learn a little bit more about her if you already did know about her. Thanks again, Sister Tavonia. Y'all make sure y'all support Guap Coin and support what the sister's doing. Google her. Tavonia Evans. Support the sister. And keep supporting TiTi Talks. Y'all check me out on Facebook and Instagram for TiTi Tuesdays, where I'm going to be going live talking my shit. And keep looking out for your girl in the interwebs. Peace.